Wyndham's game fits match play really
well.
No,
that is the hottest take of this show. Wyndham Clark should be on the Ryder Cup team because he dominated TGL. Quote, Alex Blickle.
Sure, go for it.
Mayo experience.
Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by Underdog. Back into golf because there are two huge tournaments this week. The Procore Championship in Napa, which is usually just a throwaway as the first leg of the swing season, but not this year because all of the U.S. Ryder Cup members minus Bryson are playing in the tournament. And then overseas, the even better tournament with a stronger field, the BMW PGA Championship from Wentworth, which has all of the European Ryder Cup members minus Seb Straka and a whole bunch of other really good players at the same time. So I was going to take a golf hibernation for a bit, at least until the Ryder Cup, but no, we can't do that. We got to make some bets here. Alex Blickle from FTN.com on the line to talk me through all of the bets, all of the picks this week. But first I want to get started is you had a near miss in the Millie Maker, man. You were so close.
I was so close. There was a time yesterday I thought I was going to have it. Got nothing from Nico Collins, but it was a fun ride and can't complain about 50K.
Yeah, 50, and that was 7th place, right?
Mm-hmm.
What Millie Maker was that? The $100?
No, it was the 4,444, which I only play when I have tickets for it, but I want a ticket at the Tour Championship, so it makes all the sense in the world that we're talking PGA today.
So Tommy Fleetwood came through for you at the Tour Championship?
He did, yes.
Well, which one do you want to start with? Do you want to start Procore or do you want to start BMW Championship? Because actually, you know what? Let's start Procore because Scotty's the favorite in the field. He's plus 230. Get all the lines at coolbet.com. If you're in Canada, outside of Ontario, hit the description. You'll find yourself a nice little bonus down there as well, plus some PME exclusives. So he's the overwhelming favorite. Russell Henley is second in this market at 13-1. Justin Thomas is 17. So is Cantlay. Sam Burns is under 20. Morikawa is 20. Cam Young's 22, Ben Griffin's 24, Matt McNeely also 24. Then you got JJ Spawn. Those are all the players under 30-1. It's difficult for me to parse because this is a tournament I usually like to bet on. We've seen some gigantic underdogs win here, but this field is approximately 3,000 times stronger than it is in any other year it's been played. So I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I start in the same place that I always do. I start with course fit. We've got a pretty good model for this course, so I obviously like it's not a 1-to-1 comparison when you do suddenly have a much stronger field, but the same skill sets should still translate, at least theoretically.
So ball striking.
Yeah, got a lot of signal on driving distance here, not a ton on driving accuracy, a little bit less than usual. Good signal on approach play, and then a shocking amount of signal on around the green play, which I do think you can see. Like when you just look at the guys who have won and who have contended over the last few years, there's a lot of really good short game players.
So Homa won here back-to-back years. Brendan Steele won here back-to-back years as well. Thigala won 2 years. Did Thigala win last year?
2 years ago, I think.
Yeah,
Kazire was last year, I think.
What's that? Sorry.
Was Kazire last year?
Kazire was last year, like 300-1 or something silly like that.
Yep.
So
yeah, Thigala was 2 years ago.
So yeah, distance, not a ton of accuracy, good iron players, good putting, good short game for at least Homa and Thigala. So that actually does make some sense. But now Scotty's playing, so do we even bet it?
Yeah, I think the one thing you can do is continue. So like whenever Scotty's in the field, it hurts that like 30 to 50 range so much because Scotty's just taking so much equity. And so essentially what that's doing is when we're betting golf, like we have to overcome this massive vig, right? Like there might be 25, 35% juice sometimes in the market. So to overcome that, it's really hard to do if one player is taking 25% of the win equity or whatever he's getting. So I like to go to the longer shots. And I think like it really leaning into course fit and leaning into volatility is kind of the path that I look forward to actually find some advantage in these markets. And there is a guy at 150-1 that I like in Benny On because he is distance and around the green play to the extreme.
He is, but you also need him to make a putt at some point.
You do, which is why I will be taking him with placements instead of just the pure outright.
So Ben Ann, 150 to 1, 8 places. I can get behind that. I was looking at Jackson Coyven as well, but unfortunately, he's 50 to 1.
Yeah, he's he's like the prototypical guy that 3 years ago would have been 150 to 1, and we'd be so happy to bet him. But now the books are finally on top of the fact that these young guys are ready to win as soon as they get up here.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at the rabbit hole. Ron does such a good job of putting all this stuff together for Silverado North. It's a par 72, 7,138 yards, so it's a very short par 72. We see some like Eastlake was like 7,400 yards as a par 70. So you can get to these. You have to smash the par 5s here. That's number one. The greens are a little bit smaller at 5,400 yards. The rough length is about average. It's hard to hit fairways in general here, a lower driving accuracy percentage than you would notice, but it's not super penal to miss the fairway, hence probably where driving distance comes in, right?
Yeah, and also like you mentioned, we have to, our guys are going to have to really play the par 5s well. I think this is one of the times where that around the green signal, it's not saying, hey, you're going to need your guys to save par on these difficult holes. It's saying you're actually going to need short game to get up and down for birdie when birdie is the score you need. So an interesting tidbit there, because usually we don't associate around the green play with these birdie fests, but I think you nailed the reason why that shows up here.
Yeah, so around the green, on average, very difficult at this course, which once again would be the signal that you do want these good around the green players. And it's not even just around the green from like the long grass from around the green, which isn't even all that long. It's like trying to chip off the short grass, like scrambling from short grass is extremely difficult at this course versus your regular events, which I just found really, really weird. So I think you can go two ways here. You'll want to go with the types of guys that you're talking about. Distance, above average to average irons, great short games. Maybe they can make some putts. Or you can swing it back the other way, because this was the site where Griot got his first win. He always plays well here, which indicates to me that if you do have a massive fairway finder who does excel with his irons, if they can roll a hot putter, they can get in contention, which is why I was on Coyven in the first place.
Yeah, it's such a good point, and it's something that like is always the case. And I think Victor Hovland is kind of the guy that I mention every time when having this discussion. Like the course fit model is looking at everybody, right? And so it's not when the course fit model says that around the green play is really predictive and really important, it doesn't mean that you can't find an outlier in the field who's going to hit the ball so damn well that he's not going to need that around the green play the way most of the field will. Whether that's Grillo, whether it's a Victor Hovland type, that changes with every event, of course. And you can find some guys like that here in this field, like potentially Colin Morikawa, someone that you certainly have you're certainly no stranger to betting him. So he could be the guy here.
It's funny because I have not bet Morikawa in such a long time that maybe now is the time to get back in. I don't know if I can necessarily pull the trigger. Him being back in California is nice, though. How much do you put into splits like that? Because we have seen certain guys just dominate in California over the years, and you're like, all right, it's going to be a big year for this guy, and then you never hear from him again.
Yeah, I don't put a lot into them, which is interesting because like as a player myself, I know that I play a lot better in the Northeast than I do like down in Florida or something. But I think that most of that is tied to the actual courses themselves and how they test players. And so my point isn't that, hey, there's something about, California courses that he plays better. My thing is that if there is, it's going to be captured in the course fit analysis. So we don't need to do any additional stuff beyond that. And especially that's true because when you get into those splits, you get into really small samples. So now you're looking at something that, if you're looking at just California splits, maybe you're not actually seeing California splits. Maybe you're just seeing randomness and you're being drawn away from what the course fit is telling you, which I think is just better analysis to begin with.
I was trying to think of some of the guys that do this. I mean, it's just some guys play much better in January to March. Like Mark Wilson was like this. I think Mark Wilson has 5 PGA Tour wins, and none of them have come after March 1st.
Yeah, and something you're alluding to there is like the schedule on the PGA Tour is so seasonal and it goes from one place to the next. So like I've made this point a lot with like Bermuda splits, for example, where if Florida swing, if a guy has an alignment issue with his putting, which happens all the time, and when you have an alignment issue, like you're just kind of screwed until you fix that. You can have an alignment issue, go to the Florida swing, putt poorly for 4 straight weeks. nothing to do with Bermuda. It's because you're struggling with your alignment. Eventually fix it. And now your Bermuda putting splits are totally screwed for the next 4 years. Every single time someone looks at your Bermuda splits for the next 4 years, you're going to say, oh, this guy can't putt on Bermuda. But actually, it's just because you had 1 4-week stretch and the schedule is so seasonal in that way that now it skews the results and people are looking at bad data for the next 4 years. So I'm always really careful with that type of split. And it comes down to just the sample size issue.
What was the name of this tournament before? It was the Fries.com Open. It's the Procore now. What was it in between? The Fortinet.
Yeah.
That's right. And it was the Safeway as well.
Yep.
All right, I keep trying to search for Andrew Putnam. It just feels like he's never played this tournament before. Oh, it's because I have it set to last 6 months. That's why. I was like, of course not. The Fortinet, let's see. Nothing really good for him there. Safeway. He makes the cut maybe a good DraftKings play. But I was trying to think of the other type of player that I talked about who could be like a Griot-esque player. Irons, putting around the green, and just kind of hits a bunch of fairways. Putnam would be that guy for me. Although I do think that what you kind of pointed out, the path of least resistance of around the green is the way you'd want to go. Hell, Cam Champ is one here.
Yeah, I mean, Champ certainly doesn't have the around the green play, but he's got the distance and he can get hot with the putter. So he definitely can become that guy. And also, like you mentioned, Grillo. Well, Grillo could be this year's Grillo again. He's still that type of player. He's still accurate off the tee, really good iron player, and I think a much better putter than people give him credit for.
Yeah, I'm trying to just fill out the model. I'm on the rabbit hole right now. If you go to betspertsgolf.com/Mayo, you get yourself 25% off. Highly recommended. And additionally, get this, Blickle. The race for the Mayo Cup at fantasygolfchampionships.com is now open for the new year. I'm going to be giving away some stuff on the show, but you're going to want to have entries into that. There's almost 100 people in it so far. Top prize this year, $110,000, which is really nice. There's 1.2 million guaranteed into the prize pool, which, of course, is always just so nice. But listen to this. Here's the breakdown of where are we at? My entries, notifications, home. I just want to see the payout. Show me the payouts. That's what I'm looking for here. I think it's the top 20 all get 5 figures.
That's outstanding. That's outstanding. Shout out to you. The way you've grown that contest is absolutely spectacular. It's so much fun to play in. I'm in the Survivor this year as well that you've got going on for NFL. It's all awesome. I love it.
See, I like I like Survivor as well. And if you join, so you still have by the time you're watching this, I don't think that Monday Night Football has started yet. It's the last chance that you have to get into the 4for4 Survivor. It's $50 to play. You can multi-enter it. And there's $500K up top. The one thing that I don't like about Survivor versus the one and done is you can have 10 bad weeks in one and done. That's fine. The guy who won last year won by a bunch. He forgot to submit an entry at Bay Hill.
That's hilarious. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, but you can have bad weeks. You just need to have good weeks to go on top of it, and it keeps you engaged. And if you have a really good year in Survivor, you come second. You win nothing. At least if you win second in the race for the Mayo Cup, you win $75,000.
Yeah, it's such a good tournament. I know Tambo talks about gifting it to people. I got my dad in, I got my uncle in. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, fantasygolfchampionships.com, fangolfchamps.com is a URL that will also work. Or you can just hit the description, get in it now. I give my dad an entry into it every year for Christmas. I know that Tambo does. If you don't know what to get your dad for Christmas, just buy him this entry right now and then give it to him that day. It's perfect. And then you guys actually have something to talk about every single week anyway. You'd be shocked at how little my father and I have to talk about.
Whatever works.
Yeah. So strokes gained approach. What do you think the good time frame is? I'm just adding in some stuff here to try to create a quick model on the rabbit hole. I put in distance, I put in off the tee, I put in around the green. I did those past 3 months, past 4 months. What would you take for strokes gained approach? Would you want to shrink it down to a super small sample and then cut that in half and then add in a really long sample to go with it?
Yeah, there's some subjectivity to this type of question because I think an underrated part of this answer is that it depends on the type of year. These guys haven't played as much, and especially once you get to the Ryder Cup, they're going to have essentially one round recently. So I think at this point, I'm more interested in their long-term numbers than their recent numbers because I don't necessarily think the recent numbers still apply. So I want the really long-term great iron players. Obviously Morikawa is one of them. I think Akshay Bhatia has become one of them. Rico Hoey going down the board. So I want the guys who aren't just hot recently, but have shown us year after year this is the strength of their game.
So I put in the last 2 months and put 8 months in. So basically encompassing the entire year, which I do. I mean, it's not the longest of sample sizes, but I feel like it's plenty generous here. We're talking about 70 to 85 rounds for some guys.
And to that point, like if a long-term great iron player has struggled for 8 months, that doesn't necessarily, like, there's no then reason for us to believe that this is the week that he's going to figure it out. We can still say, yeah, sometime in the next year, I think he'll figure it out, but that doesn't mean he's going to figure it out this week. So I like that split that you just created.
Well, I know that you've done really well on Underdog for PGA. I was just looking at it, and the overall, and maybe this differs because the quality of player has gone up at this field so far, but the 5-year average at this course of 48% driving accuracy. That ain't good.
No, it is not. I can also bring up some like birdie and stuff stats here for Underdog, but yeah, we can definitely attack that. But to your point, like, I think you have to be aware of just how much better the field is this year. And so maybe the move is to keep that in mind, see the round 1 data, and then see if the lines have properly adjusted. And if they haven't, then you just hammer them.
That could be the move. I just wonder that when they open up those fairways hit prices, or even take lower fairways on some guys, but higher greens in regulation, because it's super easy to. It's almost like the Sony Open in that way, where not a lot of guys actually hit the fairway, but everyone is hitting greens in regulation. What is the green in regulation percentage here? Let's see. Approach play. Rabbit hole, so easy to use. Fairway, green regulation from the fairway, 81%, 60% from the rough. So the green regulation percentage overall is 69%. So it's higher than tour average.
Yep.
And you would expect that probably to go up with the better players this year too.
Definitely.
Going for the green percentage is about just over 50% guy. But so this kind of harkens back to exactly what you said earlier, with the around the green play being a scoring induced for par 5s. The going for the green hit percentage on par 5s on the 4 of them at Silverado has a 5-year average of only 15%.
That's crazy.
So yeah, you got to get it up and down. So Scotty's going to win this tournament by 100 strokes.
Just like every other tournament.
Yeah. Like, have you started to think about dabbling in the non-Scotty market?
I haven't. But I think the main reason I haven't is because I live in a place where I have multiple books with each way options. I think if I was in a state where I had to bet pure outrights only, there's a good chance I would have started to dip into that non-Scotty market. The only thing is, like, I haven't checked every single event, but the couple events that I have checked, the juice has been even higher in that market. And I don't like that.
It depends on the site. It seems like they've kind of caught up to it, but for a while, FanDuel was basically offering the same odds on every player in that market, just without Scotty Scheffler.
That's funny.
So you can get away with it sometimes. I think it's always helpful to check, because if the number is like 2 points different on a player and you get to eliminate the favorite in the field, then I would do it. But I mean, I actually got back some nice cash from hitting Tommy Fleetwood at the Tour Championship, and a lot of people were like, "Oh yeah, just bet it without Scotty." It's like, I don't want to bet Fleetwood at 8-1 or something without Scotty. Just let him. If he wins, he wins. He finally did win. It was nice to see.
And I think that's an important part of the equation too, is like understanding the player that you're betting on. When he plays, like, if he has his A game, is his A game good enough to beat Scotty, or is his A game just going to be beaten by Scotty's C game? So that's a really important part to think through. And obviously, when Tommy has it, he can beat anyone in the world.
Just in terms of creating this model, I'm throwing in putting short and long term as well, but just taking a look at it, is there any like specific stats in general that you would look at? Maybe proximity ranges, birdies are better, bogey avoidance, anything like that to throw in?
I don't think so. I like to keep my models really simple. And I think, like, one of the things that I've stressed, especially in the DFS side of things, and this isn't as true for betting, but I really take the side of, like, I want to be upfront and honest with myself about how hard it is to predict golf. And I think it's really easy to fall into the trap of, like, trying to predict that which we can't predict. And then you just get in a situation where you're overconfident about things. And I want to lean into the variance and use the variance of golf to my advantage, instead of trying to eliminate it just because as human beings, we're uncomfortable with uncertainty. So that's the approach I take. I like to keep a very simple model, and I do that with the course fit model. And then I separate driving into strokes gained, driving distance, and strokes gained, driving accuracy. And to me, that's been really successful. And I try not to go too nitty gritty beyond that.
All right, so I'm going to fire this one up here. I built it as we were talking, Procore. I'm going to put this in the newsletter so you can sub to that for free down in the description. I'll probably post it on Twitter as well once I go through it. Procore Mayo V1. I got distance off the tee, around the green, two with approach, 2 with putting, just different lengths of time, and weighted a little bit differently. I'm going to save and generate this model. You can access this on the rabbit hole as well if you just go down to view expert ranking. That's a very loose definition of the word expert, but here I am. I got mine in there, PGA tout, so John already has his in there as well. I'm sure that more will populate. Do you find that DFS is easier or harder on DraftKings for golf while football is going on? Do you find it's only the hardcore players who know what they're doing or playing, or are other people getting into it because they have extra money? They're around for NFL. It's like, hey, let me throw in a PGA one.
That's a great question. I haven't thought about that much. I think it's probably a little bit tougher depending on your strategy. Like I take a very contrarian strategy. I'm always trying to leverage the field. And I think it's a little bit harder this time of year to project ownership than when there are 6 or 7 shows around the industry that are kind of driving ownership. So I think that part of it is tougher. There's a lot. There are just fewer indicators of who people are actually playing, and I think to me, like that's more important than what's the quality of the competition.
Well, how about this? That the fact that we've both said driving distance on this show, Cam Champ's going to be overowned.
Yeah, probably. But he'll be overowned at like what, 5% when he should be 3% or something like that?
Maybe. Well, let's see here. The top driving distance players in the field over the past 4 months in order, and they're all sub. Cameron Young is the only high-priced player who's up here in this. So Jesper Svensson, Cam Champ, Keith Mitchell, Celinda. Oh, my boy Celinda, playing him for sure. Although he ranks 122nd of 156 players in this model. Ben Ann, your guy. Joseph Bramlett, Tim Whiting, Cam Young. Whiting's interesting. Was it Svensson or Whiting who won the Irish Open like last year?
Oh, I'm not sure. I can't say that
Tim Whiting was the guy who won back-to-back on Corn Ferry. It must have been Svensson then. Or was it the other? It was some Swede who hits the button. No, it was Vince Norman who won the Irish like 2 years ago. Another long-hitting Swedish guy. Gordon Sargent is here. Trevor Cohn, Taylor Moore, Jackson Suber. Grazerman's interesting, actually.
Very, very interesting. One of the largest differences between the course fit projection and our just like baseline projections this week. So he's very much on my radar.
How does that work?
Like, how do we get the course fit projection versus the baseline?
Yeah.
So the baseline projections is actually a really cool process. So what we do is like we separate the categories in terms of how much we want to weight recent form. So like so many people will take, this is his form over the last 12 events, or last 12 rounds, last 24, last 50, whatever. And they're using the same weight for the last 12 versus the last 50, for example, to project their putting and their driving. And what we have found is that's not as good as you can do. Whereas like putting, you have to go back 44 rounds to get any predictive value whatsoever for putting. But driving accuracy, you can go back 8 rounds and start to get some predictive value. So we want to be viewing like the different categories, the different skill sets in golf differently when we weigh recent form versus long-term form. And so we take that in, we estimate the driving, we estimate the approach play, we estimate the around the green play, we estimate the putting independent of the course first. That gives us a profile for the player, and that gives us a baseline expected strokes gained. And then we take that profile, we apply it to the course fit model, which says like, for example, this week we have distance being 30% more predictive than usual. So if you take 2 players and one of them is half a stroke better in driving distance than the other, that half a stroke gets multiplied by 1.3 since it's 30% more predictive, and that 0.5 stroke advantage becomes a 0.65 stroke advantage. So then you have a baseline expected strokes gained and a course fit expected strokes gained. We blend those together to get our actual expected strokes gains that we then run through the simulations.
Oh, So that's pretty interesting. So Grazerman would rate out well at this course then.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's saying. So like if you put Grazerman versus Thorbjorn Olesen on a neutral course, we have them projected almost exactly the same. 0.72 for Olesen, 0.74 expected strokes gained for Grazerman. You put them on this course, Olesen goes to 0.79, Grazerman goes all the way up to 1.27. So now on this course, we say, okay, Grazerman is a much better course fit. We're going to project him a lot better, whereas they're probably like the same quality of player.
So looking at it right now, I'm looking back at the past 5 years and the players that have played the best at Silverado. Thigala, Homa, Kuchar, Hoagie, Spawn are the top 5. So Spawn is really the only Ryder Cup regular from the USA team that plays this course over and over.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I don't know how much to weigh. Like, this is another one of those really interesting, just like general golf conversations where there was definitely a point in time where experience on a golf course, and there are certainly still courses like Augusta, where experience on a golf course is predictive of success. I think we've gotten to a point where there's so much data and these guys do such a good job of mapping out a strategy for each course that I just don't think it matters the way it used to. And that is obviously part of why these young guys get to the PGA Tour now and they're just ready to win. It's because they're as prepared for the course as guys who have played it for 8 years. Like that local course knowledge just doesn't mean what it used to.
So one of the other weird things about this tournament as well, Xander's actually not playing. So I was incorrect about all of the guys besides Bryson playing. We don't have Xander here as well. But I think it was last year with Xander. He came and played this tournament. It was either last year or the year before. And one of the things that the top players, like every once in a while you'd get like a pretty big player playing in this tournament. And all of a sudden they just wouldn't do very well. And you try to figure out why. This was always kind of known for the top players as a place that their wife wanted them to play. And they would just basically treat it as, hey, I'm going to play in this tournament, but I'm actually on a wine weekend holiday in Napa with my wife.
That's a really good point. And I think an important point there is like, it doesn't mean that once they get inside the ropes, they don't care about how they play. What it means is instead of putting all that time in Monday through Wednesday to come up with their plan to iron in their game, they're off touring wine country with their wife. So it does make some sense.
So with that, I guess the fundamental question comes down to there's 3 levels to this. 1, what do you do with Scotty? 2, what do you do with the Ryder Cup guys who are the next 10 best players in this tournament? And if we factor in those things, would you basically bet the don't pass line against all these guys and be like, okay, they're sucking up all the win equity, but maybe like they're there for a team camaraderie weekend for the Ryder Cup, and maybe they can get got this week if there's a week to get them?
I wouldn't go that far because I think they're here for a reason. Like they're all very motivated for the Ryder Cup. I don't think it matters that they care about the state of their game for the Ryder Cup instead of caring about it for this week. And I think that they will also like just the competitive nature. Like I'm sure we will hear Scotty Scheffler say, I'm here to win this tournament, not just to prepare for the Ryder Cup. So I wouldn't go so far as to say they can get got for that reason. But I also think that like, you know, if they start slow or if they're in contention, they still won't be as focused on this week particularly as they usually are, because they're here to make sure their game is as prepared as possible for 2 weeks from now.
Like if Justin Thomas isn't in contention, like he makes the cut and he's like T63, he's having a wine weekend.
Yeah, and I think like he'll still be grinding to try and find something that he can lean on.
Sure, but it's not the same, right?
It's definitely not the same. It's 100% not the same. Whereas, guys, you know what I think? I think it's probably more applicable to DFS, where like if you have a guy who just squeaks through the cut and is in 50th, like I want the player who knows that going from 50th to 20th could be really important for his status next year. However, I will also put in the qualifier there that if that's the case, he's there because he hasn't played well when he's really, really wanted to before. So motivation is also like one of those traps where, yeah, guys want to play well all the time. If motivation was predictive of success for everybody, then no one would ever be battling for their card because they'd all play well when they need to.
Yeah, exactly. And what we're talking about is absolutely unquantifiable. You just cannot know. Yeah. Like Oh, maybe Scotty's the one who decides to go out and have a good hang, and Harris English is super locked in. You have no way to know.
Agree completely.
So here's what the rankings told me. So the power stat rankings that I did, Scotty, of course, is number one. If you make a model, this is kind of my rule of thumb over the past 2 years, that doesn't have Scotty at number one, you might want to try to start over again.
Yeah, and if you have guys who are like at $5,600 third in your rankings, you might want to start over again. And usually, it's not that you're doing the wrong thing; it's that you just have too small of a sample size. And you just need more long-term form, or you need to be a little bit less picky about how granular you're getting with your data.
See, I don't mind that from time to time if one of these cheap guys pops up, because at least it indicates to me that they're doing something well currently that I am looking for. That doesn't mean they're reliable at all, but
right.
At least I'm trying to ride the wave.
Yeah, and to that point, like it can be directionally correct that, hey, this guy who's $5,700, like he should be, or he should project a lot better than everyone else in his range. It just means, okay, but I probably need to tone down what is putting him there. And so he goes from third in my model to, I don't know, 17th. Like that would still be a really good play at that cheap of a price tag. And then that can also then, like it's directionally still important for you to see that guy's projecting really well, but now you know, okay, if I dial that back, now the rest of the guys here are probably a little bit more accurate. So the difference between the guy who's ranked 5th and 10th means a little bit more to me.
That's really interesting. I never thought about that as a way, like finding the outliers near a top of a model as a way to essentially backtest it in real time.
Yeah, 100%. Like that, I think that's really well said. And part of that too is because when we are betting, when we're playing DFS, it's like the goal with projection models, we always think about it as like, well, I want it to be as accurate as possible. And I think a more important thing is when your model is telling you something different than what the market is telling you, that's when you need maximum predictability. You need your outliers to be outliers for a good reason and not because there's a bit of a flaw in your process. And so judging the outliers is a fantastic way of judging the viability of a model.
So here's the top 10. Scheffler, Griffin, Henley, Thomas, Jackson Koiven, JJ Spawn, Mav McNeely, Patrick Cantlay. The outlier for me is Cameron Champ at $7,400. Then Cam Young, Harris English. Oh, Chairman Mao, $7,300. Then you have Mark Hubbard, who actually has some really nice course history here at 13. Woodland, Mac Meisner, Sam Burns, Hoey, Fishburne, Webb Simpson. Good Lord. Maybe I do need, maybe I've backtested this in real time. I need to figure something out. And then Emiliano Grillo at 20-1. Then Jesper Svensson. But me having overweighted distance and off the tee is giving me certain guys, like a certain type of player.
I get that Webb Simpson outlier all the time in my stuff whenever around the green pops, like it does this week. So he's probably up there for me too. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the top 10 for our expected strokes gained right now, and we might have like 8 of the same top 10. So that seems like a really solid start.
And Webb Simpson probably not one of them.
He's not one of them.
Grillo. Oh, Akshay's number 23. I like how he's been playing. It's just feel like it's so hard for him to put together 4 rounds.
He's 14th for us.
Okay.
Yeah. He's a fun one to root for because I've personally played so many tournaments against him.
Oh, really? He is easily my favorite player on tour. It's not even close. He's so fun to watch.
He is, and I can't remember. It was a tournament in the most northeastern part of North Carolina that you can possibly get. Really cool part of the country that I didn't even know you could get that far northeast in North Carolina. And they had this like long drive competition, and he and I were in the final like 5. And it was hilarious because there were 3 guys who were like, I don't know, 6'4", looked like they could be linebackers or tight ends. And then there were me and Akshay Bhatia. I'm 5'7". He's a stick. Like this is like, why are these 2 in the final 5? It was fun to see. We did not win. So one of the other guys was hitting the ball 380.
So yeah, his driving accuracy is trending back upwards. That's nice to see over the past 81 rounds. Because in my mind, he's number 1 in total driving too, which might actually be one of the better stats here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I personally, I think strokes gained off the tee is better than total driving, but it's the same concept.
Well, it's funny that he's first in total driving, but he's barely above average in strokes gained off the tee.
Yeah, it's because I think total driving overemphasizes accuracy, and it's also like I think you and I have had this conversation before, but I'm not a fan of percentage of fairways hit as a measure of driving accuracy. I don't think that's actually what it's capturing. And like obviously, when you're looking at a stat for a skill, like you want that stat to actually show the skill. And percentage of fairways hit shows an inverse relation to how far you can hit the ball more than it shows your ability to hit the ball where you want it. So I think that's probably the biggest reason why total driving doesn't quite capture it. But total driving still gets like the best drivers. They're still always up there because they're both accurate and long.
His off the tee has been actually very good over the past little bit. Lost a little bit at the Tour Championship. His around the green has been good. Weirdly enough, it's his putter that's been letting him down, which frankly, I'm willing to buy on a dip on Akshay's putter.
Me too. We still have him projected to gain strokes with his putter.
Yeah, and he's lost in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of his past 10 tournaments on the greens.
Yeah, that won't last.
All right, so let's go with that. Maybe Akshay. Where are Akshay's odds? He's probably like 30 to 1. He is fucking 30 to 1. Of course he is. I don't know if I like that.
I don't think I like that, but I like him. If he's low owned, I'll be playing him.
All right, so where are we thinking for bets here? You like Ben Ann. Cool Bet has a Grazerman 66. I don't hate that.
I like that.
Other than that, they're not really giving us much value. Griot's 100 to 1. Maybe just roll out Griot 100 to 1 with 8 places and call it a week.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all. And I also I really, really, really don't mind the idea of having a small card, all long shots. You're almost definitely going to lose all of your bets, but you're not going to lose a lot. So who cares?
I suppose that's true. Maybe I'll just bet. Oh, Akshay's 33 here, and I'll talk to Coolbeck, get him boosted up, get him to like 40 to 1 or something. Then we're in business when he loses by 12 to Scotty.
Yeah. I'd start to think about it at 40. I would definitely be in if you got it to 50.
Yeah, there's no chance that gets to 50.
I thought maybe you had some real special connections there.
I wish I had those special. They accept all my boosts. They're like, well, Pat never wins, so this is perfect. But boost up whoever he likes. That's fine. I actually hit the Fleetwood once. They were like, all right, you calm down, pal. Trying to figure this out. But I'm looking at some other sites now to see if there's any other larger numbers. There just doesn't seem to be at the moment. It feels like they know that the only people that, as Jeff always called it, it's like the people who bet the Masters futures like in November. It's like they're looking for crack. And they're like, hey, here's some crack. Would you like to smoke it? People are like, yeah, get me in on these golf odds right now.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Here's another guy I think is worth mentioning. I don't know what you can get him at, but Luke Clanton very much fits the bill of someone who theoretically could hit the ball so well and get hot with the putter so that his short game weakness does not matter. We haven't seen the putter spike recently, but we know that it's capable of spiking, and obviously the ball striking is there quite a bit. So what's he at?
Mr. Swing Season. I'm seeing him at 100 to 1. He's the same as like Nico. Would you consider this an easy course?
Yeah.
So Nico at easy courses, despite being sort of the antithesis of the player that we just talked about?
Yeah, I'm more interested in Clanton there.
Yeah, so Clanton at 100, Griot's 100, Nico's 100, Gim Reaper's 100. Yeah, it's funny to see all these guys ahead of Ben Ann, weirdly enough. I guess Ben Ann had a bad year, didn't he?
He had a really bad year. He had a really interesting year because when he was playing well, he was doing it with ball striking and better putting. But around the green play, which like historically, even when he has not been that good, he's been one of the best around the green players in the world. He's had one of the best short games in the world. So it was weird to see that like that was the part of his game that was failing him. And then as the year went on, he got the around the green play back. His short game was money for the rest of the season, and everything else kind of fell apart. So I think that like I actually like seeing that kind of trend more than he's struggling with one aspect. He can't figure it out. He's not going to figure it out. Because now we know, okay, he's had success in all the areas he needs to have success in. He just has to finally put it all together. And I think that's easier to do than finding something in a category that you have never been able to find success in.
So shortlisted right now, we have none of the Ryder Cup guys. That's probably a mistake in a field that features all of the best players from the Ryder Cup.
So I don't think it is because I think we can like phrase it this way. Are books more likely to hang a bad number, a wrong number for a guy at 100 to 1 who isn't really relevant and hasn't been playing a bunch lately? Or are they more likely to make a mistake on guys that we've seen play the last few weeks and are going to get the most attention this week because they're playing the Ryder Cup? Like, of course, they're less likely to make a mistake on the Ryder Cup guy than someone down the board.
Of the Ryder Cup guys, I know you said I'm seeing a 25 on Morikawa at Coolbet, actually. That doesn't seem bad.
It's not awful. I don't think I'd play it.
Thomas at 16. I think Thomas or Cantlay would probably be my favorites at these numbers, but I just don't want to bet them at 16 or 18 to 1.
Yeah, I agree. Where are Burns and Cam Young?
Cam Young is 25 to 1. Burns is 18 to 1.
Definitely want to touch Burns. I think I would bet Cam Young at 25 before I bet Morikawa.
All right, so we'll throw Cam Young on the short list. So here's what I got shortlisted right now. Grazerman, Ben-An, Griot, Clanton, Koiven, Akshay, Cam Young.
I like it.
So I'll whittle that down. I'll release the plays in the newsletter, or I'll tweet them out, do whatever with them, and we'll get to the bottom of this. And maybe something will pop up during the course of the week. Maybe I'll bet Cam Champ. See if they can get a huge number on him. Who knows? For over a century, Johnnie Walker has shared its bold spirit with the game of golf. Now, crafted with Devereux Golf, Johnnie Walker introduces the Johnnie Walker Blue Label-inspired Sunday Golf Bag, elevating the game with sleek design, blue label hues, and refined gold accents. Celebrate your hole-in-one with a premium Sunday bag crafted by Devereux Golf. Submit proof of your achievement to johnniewalker.com/blue-in-1. Please drink responsibly. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Give online therapy a try at betterhelp.com/PatMayo and get on your way to being your best self. Sometimes we turn to some funny places for support, but not everyone's a therapist. Not everyone is the one. Find your right match with BetterHelp. What you need to do is actually talk to a quality therapist, and BetterHelp therapists work according to a strict code of conduct and are fully licensed in the United States. It's also completely online. You can pause your subscription whenever you need to and switch therapists anytime at no extra cost. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Find the one with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/PatMayo. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/PatMayo. I really want to talk about the BMW PGA Championship from Wentworth. If you're thinking, hey, this course is in England, it doesn't really look or feel like any of the links style courses that we're used to. This is a tree infested parkland style course.
Yeah, it is. It's also a fantastic field, a fantastic event. The only thing I don't understand is why it's called the BMW PGA Championship.
I think it's because the BMW Championship is the second leg of the FedEx Cup playoffs. It's to differentiate it.
I guess why'd they go with PGA instead of like DP World Tour Championship?
That I don't know, but there's also there's the BMW International Championship as a part of the DP World Tour schedule that takes place in Germany. So maybe it's a differentiation between that and the one in the States.
Could be. It confuses me, but it's a great event.
It is. And we've seen, here's the problem. Like when you just take a look at who has done well at this course over the years, and you take a look at the past champions, it's just a random spattering of guys like Ryan Fox, Shane Lowry, Billy Horschel, Tyrrell Hatton, Danny Willett, Molinari, Alex Noren, Chris Wood, Ben-An, Rory McIlroy. The only thing that kind of draws me to this, and I mean, I don't even know how like Willett or Hatton were playing that year, or even Fox, but a lot of accuracy-based players.
Yeah, I'd also say like it's always a strong field and a much stronger field than most DP World Tour events. And a difficulty there is if all you're doing is looking at guys who win and guys who are in contention, like I don't think you're going to see separation there because of certain skill sets. I think you're seeing that separation just because they're that much better than the other guys in the field. So it's hard to do analysis that way. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing because it's the same this year. There's still a group of guys in this tournament that are much better than the rest of the field.
Yes, and this field is stronger than the field in Napa. So it has a bunch of live guys. It has the European Ryder Cup guys, and then just random dudes like Siwoo and Hideki are playing in this tournament. And your run-of-the-mill guys from, like, hey, I'm going to get sucked into this because this is what I do. But Dean Burmeister's 66 to 1.
It's very doable. This is a little off topic, but if you combined these fields, it's a major championship field.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like here are the live guys that are playing. Rahm is playing, Hatton is playing, Neiman is playing, Reed is playing, Burmeister's playing, I think, and McKibben. I bet McKibben at 80 to 1 with 8 places.
The European Ryder Cup team is treating this like a tune-up as well. So I'm actually a little bit surprised that Bryson didn't choose to go play there, since the PGA Tour wouldn't let him play in Napa.
See, this is exactly what and Brooks is playing as well, but he doesn't matter at this point in time.
Yeah.
So I am in 100% agreement with you. I do not understand why Bryson isn't playing in this tournament. Like, as a real FU, like, this is the better field. You got Bryson in it. Then it really has to, like, this has juice to begin with because the field is so strong, but it basically is just missing Bryson in terms of, like, people paying attention to it.
Yeah, and I don't know if he's still in contract negotiations. Maybe he's already figured it out, but, like, I would think that Bryson would view this as like a really good opportunity to show, like, hey, watch, if I go play in this event while there's a PGA Tour event, it's as close as the DP World Tour will ever get to having better ratings on the Golf Channel and stuff like that. So I think it's a missed opportunity for him. But I also think that, Bryson is really good at figuring out how to prepare for big events. We've seen him play so well in the majors, even when the live schedule isn't conducive to doing so. So I also think it's fine to just trust Bryson to get himself ready for the Ryder Cup in whatever way he thinks is best.
Sure, it just seems funny that, like, he said he would have played in Napa if he had the opportunity. And I do enjoy the people who are like, oh yeah, they should let Bryson play. That sounds like a terrible idea for the PGA Tour.
Yeah, I don't know how they would have. I don't think they could have done so without opening themselves up to, like, really bad outcomes legally. So, but I don't know.
You want to know what the worst outcome would have been? Bryson wins.
Yeah.
Napa would have been a great course for Bryson.
It really would have. We're talking about how great distance is there. He just goes and bullies the thing to death. Yeah.
So here's the odds board. Rahm and Rory are the co-favorites, which seems kind of ludicrous, doesn't it? Like, shouldn't Rory be a massive favorite over Rahm?
I think so. Like, he's so much fun. That eagle putt, by the way, was like such an awesome preview for the NFL slate. I don't know if you saw it live, but
I was watching it live. I was at the gym watching it. It was like 40 minutes before week 1 kickoff. It's like, all right, I'm going to get myself home. I'm going to take a shower. I'm going to be ready for kickoff. And I'm on the treadmill and I'm watching. It was like, holy shit, he might make this. And just like my ear pods just like exploded with the roars when Rory made the putt.
It was awesome. And that hour is the slowest hour of the entire week. And in week 1, it might be the slowest hour of the entire year. So to have that Rory playoff was fantastic. I loved that.
Yeah, and he ended up winning. He wins the Irish Open. This is actually a great event for pre-gaming NFL on Sunday.
It really is. It's fantastic.
So Rahm and Rory both 6 to 1. Fleetwood is 10 to 1. Then it drops to Ludwig at 18. Those are the 4 guys under 20. Then you got Fitz, Hatton, Hovland, Neiman, all at 20 to 1. Now, this will vary based on the book that you go look at. Some guys will be higher, some guys will be lower. Bobby Mack is 25 to 1. Then you got Lowry at 28. That's the group below 30. Then it's Connors. I didn't even see Connors was playing. This might be the ultimate Corey Connors course, by the way.
I will take your word for it. I don't have the course fit model for Wentworth, but it seems like it's right up his path. It seems like an accuracy position type golf course. Keep your ball in play, hit a lot of greens, and yeah, he's an absolute technician. So I think I agree.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, and this would make the most sense in the world. Like, oh yeah, he's gonna go get a big win in Europe.
Also very true.
And no one will give him any credit for it or anything like that. It would work out too perfectly for Corey Connors. Marco Penge is 33. Noren's 33. Rye is 33. Then Patrick Reed. Patrick Reed has 3 straight top 3 finishes at this course. He's 40 to 1 to win this week. He's the same as Rasmus Højgaard, Harry Hall, Rose. Matsuyama is 50. That's the same as Siwoo and this is Billy Horschel's first start since coming off injury, isn't it? He won here 3 years ago.
Yeah, I believe so. Let's see.
I don't think he's played since.
He hasn't played since the Heritage.
Yeah, then you got Nearguard Peterson, the other Højgaard, Matt Wallace, Burmista at 66. As mentioned before, Michael Kim is playing in the field. He's 80-1. Adam Scott's over here. Like this field fucks is what it does.
It's awesome. It's so good.
Min Woo is 100-1.
I think that sounds right.
Yeah, I guess so. So like, what do you think? Like you see, I'm trying to find like the outlier here. So the real outlier, Chris Wood won in 2016, another high accuracy player. Manacero won in 2013. He's like 125-1 this week.
Yeah, I think Justin Rose has my attention. I mentioned like one of the things that I spend a lot of time doing is projecting volatility for players and really embracing variance. Nobody encapsulates that more than Justin Rose. Rose is either in contention or he stinks. There's never an in between for him. So he's going to be in contention more than his number because 9 times out of 10, a player's number is based on like their overall talent level and just a measure of how good the player is. And when you compare how good Rose is to guys in his price range, he contends and wins more than those guys. So I've bet Rose so many times and it works out quite a bit.
I really wish Hideki could drive the ball. It'd be very helpful for his overall success, I feel like.
The rest of his game is so good, and all he has to do is set up himself to take advantage of those skill sets, and he's not doing it right now.
No, he was 17th at the St. Jude, and that was with losing strokes. He's lost strokes off the tee in 4 straight and 8 of 9.
Yeah. It's a killer.
And it'd be one thing if he was just like losing a ton of distance, but he was still hitting a bunch of fairways, which was kind of his jam for the past 2 years. Now he can't hit fairways.
Right. And when you're as good as he is with your irons, like you need to be giving yourself as many opportunities as possible. And when you're missing fairways and you're chopping out or you're just hoping to get into the greenside bunker, like, yeah, his short game is also elite, so he can still make pars, but you're taking birdie opportunities away every single time you miss the fairway. Whereas most players, like they don't have a birdie opportunity every single time they're in the fairway like he does. Whether it's a 6 iron, 8 iron, he's capable of hitting it close. And so he needs to be driving the ball better than he has.
So if we're trying to find some outliers, I mean, yes, Roger Sloan's not playing in the field, so that's going to be a little bit tough. Rye would have my attention here, but he's playing like garbage, so that's probably not great. Trying to find some accuracy guys who actually mix distance in with it, but most of them are all the American dudes who are playing. I'm not seeing anyone. Hatton rates out the highest of the bunch, and then it's Connors. Those are the 2 guys. Yeah, I'm going to bet Corey Connors.
I like it. I like it a lot. If you want a longer name, you're just saying like accuracy from guys who also have the distance. Jonathan Vegas is down there.
Oh God,
He's down there.
I bet Vegas last week. Didn't work out so well.
No, it didn't. But he's another one of those. Like I think this is another thing that not enough people do is if you're betting a really high volatility player and he doesn't do well, that shouldn't take you off of him. That's reinforcing how volatile he is. If volatility is part of your thesis for playing him, go back to him right away. Because you know that for him, like recent form doesn't matter as much as it does other players because that's who he is. He either has it or doesn't. And he can go back and forth all the time.
Oh, listen, giving up on guys a week before they win is sort of like my MO. But the reason I ended up betting Vegas last week is that he was like 80-1 in that Irish Open field. It's like, well, it's at the K Club. That's in a pure driving distance course. It seems funny to me that that this is a guy who was, almost the first round leader. I think he was the first round leader at the PGA Championship. Like a guy with multiple PGA Tour victories, not in the not so like recent past.
Yep.
That he's going over and playing against. Listen, like the Euro fields can be good, but like I like some of these guys as much as the next guy. But I'm when I'm scrolling through the odds and I'm seeing that like Haotong is ahead of Vegas. Like I know Haotong could be good. Vegas is a better player, but in this field, he's like not good.
Right. I will say I'm looking at his data now. I'm a little concerned that Vegas might be hurt because his speed is gone. Like early in the year, he's gaining between 13 and 28 yards per drive on the field. He gained 7 at the Travelers, 7 yards. lost 2 yards at the Scottish, gained 9.99, lost 2 at the BMW, and lost 10 yards to the field at the Irish Open.
Well, let's take a look at this. Let's see. The club head speed. Would you prefer ball speed or club head speed?
Ball speed.
Ball speed? So let's go to ball speed. Brandon Matthews, Cam Champ, Bryson, Gordon. Should we look at Gordon Sargent for Napa? Or does he just suck too much?
I don't think the rest of his game is ready.
All right.
He's Cam Champ without the potential to get hot with the putter and irons.
Let's see. Højgaard, Norgard are all very much up there. Minwoo is up there. Rahm and Neiman and Rory, all the guys that you would expect. Because you feel like you would expect to see Vegas up here in this number, right?
Yeah.
Vegas
he has been most of his career.
Vegas is 37th over the past 3 months, which isn't horrible. But that puts him in the range of Pearson Coody, Celinda, Taylor Pendrith, Johnny Kiefer, MJ Duffy, Nick Dunlap, like that level of player. And that guy from the European Tour, Jacques Kerjwijk from South Africa. So he was 37th. If we just go past, let's just shrink it down. Let's see here, see what's happening to him. Vegas over the past 2 months.
Instead of just looking at the ranks, can you also look at the actual speed?
I can't now.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure that there's probably a way to do that. Let's see, average ball speed. Yes, I can. 180.
Okay.
Is that good or bad? I mean, obviously it's good.
Is that the last 3 months?
That's the last 3 months.
Okay, let's look at the last, can you look at the last month?
Yeah, I'll look at the last month with Vegas. Yeah, it still says 180 for right now.
Okay. Let's see.
See.
So maybe it's not quite as well. Okay, we actually need can you go wider? Can you get the last year?
Yeah, last 18 months he's at 182, so he's down 2 miles per hour.
Okay, yeah, that's what we're seeing. That's what we're seeing.
Okay, so yeah, that's somewhat interesting to look at.
It's concerning because maybe he's not injured. Maybe he's finally actually just acting his age because speed should start to fall at some point. And for when a player is dependent on that advantage that he's gaining with distance, when that advantage is no longer there, it's a lot harder to see the upside case for him. So I take back my Vegas recommendation.
I like that we were able to talk through that. One of the things is now that I'm with BetSperts Golf in the rabbit hole, join it, betspertsgolf.com/Mayo, get yourself 25% off, is I want to create, because we just have, it's a far more customizable system that we can kind of get into it. And I want to be able to do that and see that side by side with each other. So I want to see whatever stat that you want, be it club head speed, ball speed, strokes gained approach, that hey, I want to see in a chart instead of having to click from 2 months to 18 months, just have a filter of hey, what is the plus minus over that range?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a really good way to do it and a great way to display it.
Brandon Matthews, 193.5 ball speed.
Yeah, he's a local guy. I know him really well. I've played in his charity event at Scranton Country Club. I'm almost surprised that it's not higher because I have seen him hit some shots, and he's famous on my home course from the tips hitting a 3-iron onto the green on it's a 640-yard hole, the last hole. It's just he hits shots that you don't see. And there was one Corn Ferry event, I think it was. It was 380 over water, and he was just yeah, screw it, I'm going for the green and hit the green. He's an alien.
Is he still on Corn Ferry?
He was injured, so I don't know if he still has medical exemptions, but that's obviously what he's playing through. I don't know if he'll still have Corn Ferry status when he plays through his. It looks like he does. So yeah, I think he's still playing on medical. I don't know how many starts he has left, but hopefully he figures it out because the guy's incredibly talented and an awesome guy as well.
So going back to the betting board, Hatton is sitting there. Maybe I just take all of Legion 13. I already got McKibben on the card at 80-1. Maybe I put it on Hatton at 20-1. Connors at 33. You said Rose. Rose is what, 40? I said 40-1 for Rose. All right, I can whittle it down from there. Connors for sure, McKibben for sure. And then I feel like I can be talked into some other guys because we've seen just so many different skills. You know who is another guy who could figure this out? Did not end the year well on the PGA Tour. But with just the sort of player, like the outlier players that have won here, feels like it could be a really good Siwoo course.
Yeah, it does. And we also talked about how at this time of year, maybe we shouldn't care as much about recent form. We should care more about long-term form. Long-term, Siwoo is fantastic for this course. I'd also say, by the way, like he closed the year pretty well. Like he didn't. I mean, at the St. Jude and at the BMW, like the ball striking was there. So I like it. You just need the putter to show up, and it hasn't shown up in a while. But that's the kind of thing. Like, hey, if it's going to show up, I hope that it shows up when he's had a month off to just work on it, right? And I don't know that he's been working on it the whole time. We, of course, can't know. Maybe he hasn't touched a putter because he was so pissed off with his putting. But maybe that'll help too. Maybe he just needs like a full factory reset with his putter. So who knows? I think that's the type of bet that makes a lot of sense just fundamentally in terms of like how to bet golf, especially this type of event.
And he has lost strokes putting in 10 consecutive events, just for what it's worth.
I'm telling you, like a factory reset could not possibly be a bad thing for him.
I mean, I'm just trying to see like what else. Florida swing guys do pretty well here too. So, I mean, Fox won in Myrtle Beach and he won in Canada this year. But Lowry wins, Horschel wins, Hatton wins, Willett wins, Molinari wins, Noren wins. Those are all like Bay Hill guys.
Yeah.
Let's look up Bay Hill here. I'm trying to think off the. I mean, Connors is a Bay Hill guy.
Very much so.
So Connors for sure. What other Bay Hill guys can we get to? Is there anyone that like sticks out in your mind that's actually playing in this tournament?
No, but I would say like I think part of it is just it's already what we've talked about with Connors. It's not just like how many great shots you can hit. It's avoiding the really bad shots. Just being so consistent with your misses, being smart with your misses. He just fits that bill so well, and of course that applies to all of the Florida courses, let alone just Bay Hill. But I think it also applies to Wentworth.
Let's see, Bay Hill. We'll go to it right now. It's too bad Scotty Scheffler's not playing in this tournament. Oh, is Kitayama in the field?
I don't think so.
No, he's not. You think this is a tournament that Kitayama would go play in? Go try to like win a prestige European event after coming from the DP World Tour. I guess he just got the win, so he's not worried about rankings anymore. But yeah, this will be worth a lot of points if you win.
It would, and also for someone who spent so much of the year struggling and then found his game, like I would think that he'd be so happy and he'd be having so much fun on the course that he'd just want to play as often as he can.
See, this year from Bay Hill, taking a look at it, Connors was third. Lowry was seventh. Your boy Ben Ann should be playing in this tournament because he was eighth. Rose was eighth, so that's looking good on that front. If we go back, obviously Scotty won the year before. Wyndham Clark came in second with Lowry in third. Wyndham Clark he had been playing over in Europe. I'd be surprised if he wasn't in this field. He's not. Did you like not qualify for the field or something? Were they like, man, we don't want you smashing up our locker room? Take a hike.
My guess is he's so defeated by not making the Ryder Cup that he just doesn't want to touch a golf club for months.
Do you think like that some of these guys that clearly had no chance of making the Ryder Cup thought that they were going to be on the team?
No, but I think that he thought that he was going to play himself on. You know, he played well at the Travelers, played really well at the Scottish and the Open, continued that form at the 3M, and I think that he thought, okay, if I play well at the St. Jude and move on further into the playoffs, I'm going to play my way on the team. And I think he's just really, really disappointed with the way that he played the St. Jude, finishing 56, not qualifying for the next week, and I think that's what just like totally took his energy for golf.
Fitz has a really good track record here too at Bay Hill. Sorry.
Yeah, he does.
Connors is like, Connors going to win Bay Hill one of these days if he can ever figure out how to putt.
It's a tough thing to do, but yeah, he should.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we can get him through one of those stretches where he's actually aligned right, and it just happens to happen in Florida.
Exactly. His problem might be that even when he's aligned right, he can't hit his line.
It's funny, going back and looking at it, Victor, Hatton, Horschel have all been really good at Bay Hill, along with Fitzpatrick and Connors. Obviously, the only other one who's actually been really good who's playing in this event is Hideki.
Yeah.
Like what does Hideki's number have to get to before you take like a talent play on him?
50.
He's at 50 now.
then I think I'd bet it.
All right, Hideki shortlist. All right, so to recap, the names that we've went over. So I've bet Connors at 33. I did that during the show. And McKibben at 80-1 for the BMW PGA Championship from Wentworth. The other shortlist guys right now are Hatton, Rose, and Hideki. I'll get to those in the newsletter, sub for free, down in the description. And then back from the Procore, we had Ben Ann at 150 with placement points. That's one that you liked. I like Grazerman at 66. Clanton, Koiven, Akshay, and Griot all sort of made my short list. But again, I haven't officially bet any of those guys yet. I want to kind of wait and see what the market does. Were there any other names that you wanted to add to that mix?
No, I think you got them all.
Here's a stat that stops people in their tracks. Nearly half of American adults say they would suffer financial hardship within 6 months if they lost their primary income earner. If that stat hits close to home, you're not alone, and you're not out of options. With Policy Genius, you can find life insurance policies starting at just $276 a year for $1 million in coverage. It's an easy way to protect the people you love and feel good about the future. Policy Genius makes it easy on you by helping you compare your options by getting quotes from America's top insurers in just a few clicks to find your lowest price. And you can talk to a team of licensed agents who can walk you through the entire process step by step. So, secure your family's future with Policy Genius. Head to policygenius.com/Mayo to compare free life insurance quotes from top companies and see how much you can save. That's policygenius.com/Mayo. Now that I'm old, I've had to come to the fact that I just don't bounce back the way that I used to. I don't wake up in the morning feeling normal. And now that football season has started, that is absolutely unacceptable because I got work to do in the morning and I got kids that are waking up. It's no good. But that isn't a problem anymore because I found ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol. The ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic, invented by PhD scientists to tackle the rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's a buildup of this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for the rough days after drinking. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make pre-alcohol the first drink of your night. Drink responsibly, and you'll feel the best tomorrow. Go to zbiotics.com/PatMayo to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use PatMayo at checkout. ZBiotics is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund you your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/PatMayo and use the code PatMayo at checkout for 15% off. You want to talk Ryder Cup for a sec?
Absolutely.
You being an American and all, you sweating it?
No, I gotta tell you, like my patriotism has gone down over the last few years. I don't think I need to elaborate on why. That's
How dare you? You're just a part of the woke hive mind, Blickle.
I love golf. I am rooting for whoever I bet on, whoever's in my DraftKings lineup, and I'm going to have an absolute blast watching the Ryder Cup. It is so much fun. It is the best that golf has to offer. I know Jeff says the same thing, but like he's 100% right. It's the best of the sport. It's the most energetic, but it's also like you can just see how much it means to the players, and they get to a level of emotion that you don't see when they're just playing on their own. It's awesome.
With ties, plus 150 is the best number I see on Europe. Am I crazy to look at these two teams and think that Europe has a way better team?
I wouldn't say crazy, but I don't necessarily agree. I think America probably is the better team.
Are you sure? Because I see some guys on that team. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe Ben Griffin, Harris English, JJ Spawn has kind of upped his game this year. But we've seen this happen in the Ryder Cup a bunch of times where the guy out of nowhere with the hot year plays himself in on points, sucks at the Ryder Cup.
Listen, I was kind of in the group of Ben Griffin 100% deserved to be picked. But if I were the captain, I don't care who deserved it. I care who's going to help me win. And the point that I made on Griffin is like, I am very confident that, Morikawa, for example, I'm very confident that Morikawa is going to once again be one of the best players in the world 2 years from now when the Ryder Cup is being selected again if he doesn't qualify. I'm not going to be surprised if this was the best year that Ben Griffin ends up having in his career. And 2 years from now, he's not at all a part of the conversation for who's going to be on the U.S. Ryder Cup team. And I think that that sort of thing is how I would have selected the team, because when you get to the Ryder Cup, when you get to that type of pressure, it's not your recent form. It's who you are. And major championships bring out who you are more than who you've been. And I think the Ryder Cup does the same, maybe even to a higher extent. So that's how I would have picked my team. And to that point, I think you might be right that the European team is better. But in terms of just who has played better golf over the last year, I don't think there's much of a question that it's been the U.S., even though it's not some major disadvantage.
Well, I just feel like the outside of Scotty, the next, how many of the next best players are on Europe? I mean, maybe you'll throw up I don't think that Bryson's better than Rory.
No, I would put Rory and Rahm second and third.
And then, weirdly enough, is Fleetwood the next best guy right now, or is it Bryson?
I think you're probably right. I think it's probably Fleetwood.
Then it's probably Bryson.
Then I think it's Bryson.
Xander.
And Xander's one that if Xander played anywhere near as well this year as he did last year, I would say he's probably third behind Rory. But right now I don't have a problem putting him behind Bryson and Tommy.
But I think that we're taking into account with Xander in that ranking that he's going to get back to closer to what he was, which we didn't see all year, by the way.
No, we did not. We saw flashes, and we saw a lot of man, for the fact that he's not playing well, that he's consistently finishing where he is, that's a really good sign, because it means once he actually does figure it out, he's going to win again. And we never got the when he figures it out, but he's clearly still one of the best in the world. So,
I mean, coming off the ribs injury is always going to be tough. So let's say Europe Ryder Cup team, because we haven't even mentioned Ludwig or Victor or Hatton yet.
Yeah.
And then now we're into the Spawn, English, Griffin, unless you go Cantlay, Morikawa, Burns, the guys.
I actually think Henley's next.
If we start thinking about, you can run a course fit model on Bethpage. You think Henley's going to this is a good Henley course?
No, I don't. I think you can make a very good argument that the course fit isn't good for Henley. But if we're just talking about the best players in the world, where they rank in the world, I think Henley would be next. If you want to go course fit, I think you can get to some of these longer guys. Then I think you can even bring Cam Young into
it's funny that you mentioned Ben Griffin if you were trying to pick the team. Mm-hmm. And I know that this will seem very hot takey, and maybe it doesn't need to be this name in particular, but I would have rather than Ben Griffin. I would have taken Ben Griffin. Okay? I think he played well enough to be on the team. But if we were thinking about it objectively, of what plays well at this course, I think he would have been better off with Goddard or Kitayama or one of those guys.
Yeah, I don't hate to take by any means. I think it's solid. I think the guy that I might have taken is actually Wyndham Clark. I probably
he's got bad vibes. Bad vibes on Wyndham Clark.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know how the players feel about him, because
they like him. I can confirm this. I asked Michael Kim. He's like, yeah, people love Wyndham.
That's kind of the indication that I got. So I don't necessarily think it would have been bad vibes. It's thinking might be true that Morikawa was actually the bad vibes guy. I don't know, but yeah, I think Wyndham could have been a good pick. And weirdly enough, I certainly am not saying that Wyndham should have made it because of how well he did on TGL, but I think there's an element of Wyndham's game fits match play really well.
That is the hottest take of this show. Wyndham Clark should be on the Ryder Cup team because he dominated TGL. Quote, Alex Blickle.
Sure, go for it. But no, it's I think Wyndham's game fits match play really well, and I think we saw that through TGL to a degree, but I don't think we needed TGL to know that about his game. It's how fiery he is. It's the fact he's a really good putter. It's the fact that he's got the distance and can be so streaky with the ball striking that you could get Wyndham where it doesn't matter who he's playing, he's going to beat his opponent that day in match play. And then you can also get Wyndham where it doesn't matter who he's playing, he's going to lose that day in match play. But But that kind of boom or bust nature of his game, of course, fits better to match play than stroke play because you can only lose one hole at a time. You can't make a triple bogey that completely ruins your round.
Yeah, and I just look at the back end of the team that maybe I'm dead wrong where the Henley, Griffin, English, like they've played, I mean, Henley and English in particular have played really well at long courses and hard courses in their career. So maybe that's not going to be an issue for them. I would just want to have the longer skill set. And I think that just belongs to Europe right now. Like who are their short guys that they're taking? Rose, Lowry, Straka, and Bobby Mack, I guess. Or like they're short off the tee guys. And three of those guys have like a ton of experience in Ryder Cups.
And not only that, but like they also are really accurate off the tee. Rose, not necessarily. Rose is kind of like in that Hideki group of if he drives the ball well, he's going to contend because of how good everything else is. But like you can even throw Tommy in the mix of like guys who aren't overly long, doesn't have much ball speed, but drives the ball so well and so straight that especially if Bethpage is firm, which can tell you, like most of the golf courses around where I'm at here in the Northeast are firm right now, then part of the distance equation is going to be getting the 30 yards of run out on the fairway instead of hitting the ball into the rough. So course fit is a little bit concerning for the Americans, I think. I really like the way Europe stacks up there.
Like, but listen, even if you think it's close to 50-50 or the Americans are slightly better, plus 150 just seems like a big number.
Yeah, it feels very it feels like it's overweighing the home course advantage. And I think it was Cantlay. I don't know if you saw Cantlay just gave this answer the other day about like the home course advantage for the Ryder Cup and how dominant Europe has been in the Ryder Cup lately. And he brought up the point that like, look, we play once every 2 years. And there's a really big sample size issue.
Cantlay's not a small sample guy.
He's really not. No surprise, right? He's the finance guy, so of course he knows numbers and probability. But everything he said is 100% true. If there was no home course advantage and there was no European advantage, we would still expect through pure randomness this type of Europe dominant streak and this type of home course dominant streak to show up a fair amount of the time, just again, out of pure randomness. So I think I'm with you. Plus 150 is where the value is because I don't necessarily think that the home course advantage is as strong as it seems to be lately, just because we are assuming that this run over the last, 20, 30 years is because home course matters a lot more now than it ever has. It might just be totally random.
Well, part of the home course advantage is getting to set up the course the way that you want it to be set up. I do think that there would be positive signal to that. The issue is now with the Europeans, and obviously, listen, they were just outclassed at Whistling Straits. It was a bad course for the team that they brought and the talent at that time for it was too young. It was too early for some of the young guys on the European team who have now kind of elevated themselves up to be like full reckoning type players. That I just think that it's not necessarily the captain. I don't really think the captain matters all that much, but I do think that the infrastructure and the team itself does mean a lot. And it just feels like the European side just has way more going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, at Whistling Straits, like that's a perfect example, by the way, of home course mattered because of the setup, but it also mattered just because the Americans had a big distance advantage that year, and Whistling Straits is a big bombers course. So, like, is that home course advantage, or is that just, hey, there happened to be a talent gap, particularly in the skill set that mattered most on that golf course? So, agree with you there. And the other thing I really agree with is your point on captains. I think the only thing that captains make a big difference on, and I would actually say, like, this is maybe less captain and more just like overall leadership team. And of course, the captain should be the one driving that and making sure these decisions are going on and being made as a team, is how you pair guys in alternate shot. I don't think pairing matters a ton in best ball. Don't think, finding the quote unquote right matchups or how you throw guys out in order in singles. I don't think that matters a ton. How you pair players in alternate shot 100% matters. And I think that's where Europeans have dominated Americans in the past.
And I would say that is not attributable really to the captain, and that's more of the infrastructure that they have. They're not going on, like Keegan's going to go out there and go off, oh man, Henley and Scotty are great pals. Alternate shot, put them together.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think they might take the cue from the President's Cup. Like, I actually think Scotty and Henley do make a lot of sense together.
I'm just giving that as an example. Okay,
Yeah.
let's say Henley
Scotty
and
Burns.
let's say Henley and Scheffler make a ton of sense in alternate shots. Like, oh, but I've been seeing Burns pal around with Scheffler all week. Let's put them together. You know, they're
Yeah,
friends.
like
They're gonna be perfect.
That's a perfect example of a really bad pairing because Scotty's the best iron player in the world by a mile. Put him with somebody who's going to put him in the fairway and let him use that strength, right? So I think that's a really good call out, really good example of the type of mistake the Americans have made in the past. Hopefully, Keegan and company do not make that type of mistake this year. I think like we could do an hour-long show, by the way, just of what we think the pairings are going to be and how we would pair them if we were Captain Keegan. That would be a fun show.
Will you pull a Mike Weir and just run the same team out back-to-back sessions?
I might for alternate shot. I'd probably mix things up in best ball. And in particular, like I would do that because that's where I think it matters a ton, just how guys are playing and who's making a ton of birdies, who's struggling to read the greens, and therefore they're not going to be able to make many birdies. But alternate shot, like to me, that's so much about how guys are together that if I had 4 teams that I thought were much better than any other combination that I could make, I would absolutely put that out there back-to-back days.
Wait, foursomes is alternate shot, right?
Foursomes, yeah.
All right, so here are some of the pairings from last time. Man, there's a lot of American guys who were. Here are some guys that went out together as a part of the USA team. You had Jordan Spieth out there, Brooks, Homa, Harmon. Those guys aren't on the team anymore. So
no, it's a very good indication of why they got their ass kicked.
So what's weird about it is I would be like, I was trying to think of like what my strategy would be, like what would I see work well. And just one of the best alternate shot pairings I can remember in Ryder Cup history was actually in France, was the Tommy Molinari team. They just, but they did exactly the same things well. Like Europe has a big habit of throwing out guys outside of like Rory and Rahm because they try to stick like another good player with them. They should almost play together in a weird way.
Yeah, I think there's so like as a goal for myself, the way that I would think through this is number one, I want guys who are not putting players in a disadvantageous situation that they're not used to. So like that's number one. So for example, if Scotty Scheffler is used to hitting every single fairway, I don't want to put him with someone who's going to miss fairways. And now Scotty's like, well, what the hell? I don't know how to just recover every hole. I'm so used to being in the fairway. I'm so used to being able to attack over and over again. So that type of thing is the first thing that I think of. And then the second thing is I look for opportunities on the course itself. And quite frankly, like I haven't thought about Bethpage thoroughly enough to say whether this is one of those courses or not. But does the course provide an opportunity, an alternate shot where you can have like a role for each player, where you have a driver?
Yeah, par 3 guy, driver guy.
Yeah, like does it line up with the par 3s? Does it line up with the par 5s? That there's a driver guy and an approach guy. And because if you can do that, then driver guy, iron guy, putter, like it can line up for, let's say it lines up for 12 of the 18 holes. You're now getting a much better player, the combination of guys, than you would if just either one of those individuals were out there on his own, playing his own ball for 18 holes. So that's the way that I would do it. And I think that I would go so far as to say that I would, if I were the captain, I'd be picking my team with foursome pairings. Like that's the number one thing that I would be using to pick my players. So the Ben Griffin versus Colin Morikawa decision might come down to which of these guys am I more likely to use in foursomes. And then that's how that's the criteria. It doesn't matter who had the better season. It doesn't matter who I want in best ball, because I know I'm going to be able to find 8 good Americans to put out there in best ball. I don't know if I'm going to find.
Here were the initial Ryder Cup European teams. You had Rory and Tommy, Ludwig and Victor seemed like the most logical pairing until you got to Lowry and Straka playing together. That makes a ton of sense.
Yep.
And then Rahm and Hatton, who are, they are teammates.
Yeah. Yeah, those pairings like really seem to be exactly what you were talking about, like put guys who are similar. And it's also like, it's kind of what I'm saying too, because if you have similar golfers, then neither one of them is being put in a disadvantageous situation that they're not accustomed to. So I think it makes a lot of sense the way they've done it. And hopefully Americans learn a little bit this year.
Just trying to see if I can find this from the Saturday foursomes. What were the other foursomes matchups? Trying to find Ryder Cup and President's Cup, like records, matchups, singles, is like the most difficult thing in the world to Google. I use ChatGPT. That didn't really work.
No, it's so hard.
You
And,
think
and even when you go to these sports books, it's really hard to find. Like sometimes they're under golf, but you can't find it through PGA, or sometimes it's under Ryder Cup and you can't find it through golf. It's so annoying.
so? They actually did. The Friday foursomes they rolled out were exactly the same because they went 4-0 in Rome in the foursomes in the first session because they didn't lose a match on the opening day. So they went 4-0 and they just rolled back those same 4 teams on day 2.
Might as well, yeah.
And yeah, Hovland and Ludwig played together, I think, in every session. They sat one session. No, because Hovland played with Hatton. But other than that, they were paired together 3 of the 4 team rounds. Rose played with Bobby Mack. And we got Fleetwood with Højgaard when Rory sat in best ball. But that's it.
I like it.
All right.
Smart.
Blickle. I'm so sorry you didn't win the $1 million, man.
I'll be okay. So I did a review show with Tambo this morning, and I said this there too. It was like, so many damn things went exactly the way I needed them to yesterday that I really can't complain about Nico Collins not playing well. And the other point there is like, there were 2 guys ahead of me who had Kittle, hit a touchdown on the first drive and got hurt. Who am I to complain about Nico Collins? It would have been a lot of fun, but it was still a really good day and a lot of fun sweating it out.
It's funny because I like Nico too. I think everyone liked Nico going into the game, but to see the outcome and then to reverse engineer what happened, you're like, oh, that actually makes a ton of sense.
I said this on the Tambo show too. It was like, I think I was right to like the matchup for Nico, but I was very wrong to trust the Houston offensive coordinator to take advantage of that matchup. We have not seen anything from their offensive coordinator in years. So yeah, that was maybe the part that I overlooked. But I also think that, look, he might have been a really good play and it just didn't work out. That happens all the time.
It is, but just the way that, because I went back and watched the game because I was curious of like what happened to him. The Rams defense did 2 things. They basically triple covered Nico, just made sure they had him low and high at all times and put all of their focus in the secondary on him. And it was basically just going through Swiss cheese on the offensive line. Like Stroud didn't have time. Like the routes that you would want Collins to get himself into, he just didn't have time to develop. And when they did, he was completely covered.
Yeah, I think the thing that I most overvalued was the likelihood that they would draw up some like quick targets for him. Like, I don't know if you were watching the game, but on the opening drive, for example, they had a 3rd and long and they called a wide receiver screen to Nico Collins. Probably picks up 15 yards, they punt. But that would have been 2.5 points. The problem is they had a false start. They ran the play. So now there's like, oh shit, the Rams just saw what we wanted to do there. So they went away from it. And like, they never went back to a wide receiver screen. The Rams were playing off. They could have gotten 6-8 yards at will a lot of the time. They chose not to. And it was just a really odd game plan. And they kept running Nico like right into the heart of the zones. It was really frustrating to watch.
So one last question pertaining to my golf game. I've now changed my driver swing after I played my personal Ryder Cup with my friends that I tried to win. I won it this year for the first time. It was fantastic news.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But I'm changing my driver swing. I'm hitting the ball too high all of a sudden.
Okay.
And I'm getting, it's so baked out here. Like it should be rolling for days, but my ball basically hits and stops now. Feel like that's bad.
It's not ideal.
No,
It's definitely not ideal.
But I'm hitting like a really high cut, which can turn into a slice when I hit it.
Yeah.
So now I'm trying to hit a draw, but it doesn't go nearly as high, but it fucking flies.
Yeah. So I'd say 2 things. Number one, when you're hitting the ball too high, and especially if you're overcutting it with your miss, the first thing that comes to my mind is you might be leaving your weight too far back. So just think about getting to your front side in the swing. But I also don't want to necessarily like steer you wrong with that because I'd have to actually see the swing. So, I have good buddies. Send me the damn video of your swing and I can give you better feedback. And then the other thing is you might not be doing anything wrong. You might just need better equipment to make up for whatever adjustments you made, especially if you're someone who works out a lot and you're getting stronger and you're swinging faster, you're going to need to change equipment. Otherwise, you're going to hit a high spinny shot. So a lot of different options for what could be. And I don't want to steer you wrong just by guessing.
Well, I bought actually Michael Kim just gave one away, but I bought it earlier this year. I bought the Titleist M2, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. The forgiveness on that club, like I can just tow everything and it still just kind of goes. The reason why I'm hitting the ball so highly now is that I have a bad problem with early extension and popping up through my swing. And I was doing that on my driver. So I was slicing the ball like crazy when I got this new driver because I was hitting everything at the very bottom of the club. Yep. So my golf coach was like, yeah, just tee it up higher. You'll probably hit it like dead center, which I started to do. Problem is now like I'm hitting up on it so much that it's going super high in the air.
Yeah, early extension's a tough one because it's not as simple as don't early extend, because most early extension isn't something that you're like subconsciously trying to do. It's that you're making up for like something that you're lacking physically. So you got to figure out what that is first and then either address it or figure out how to compensate in the rest of your swing. So early extension is a really, really hard thing to figure out. It's something I've struggled with a lot in my own golf career.
Yeah, so at least now, one thing that I've gotten into with my swing where even if I'm more topping it than chunking it now with the way that I'm like aligned and the way that I'm swinging. So at least, unless there's a hazard directly in front of me, like I had one the other day where I think I was like 185 out. I had a bit of wind in my back, so I took out an 8-iron. I was like, if I crush this, I'm gonna get it there in 2. If not, I'll be slightly short. But I ended up topping it because I ended up coming up on top of the ball instead of chunking it. It just whatever spin got put on, it just rolled directly to like 8 feet. I was like, yeah, that's perfect. So the misses have become much better for me because of that. Because before with the early extension, I was chunking everything fucking 2 feet in front of me.
What's interesting is sometimes chunking and topping can actually be the same issue, which is just the low point of your swing has moved backwards.
Yes.
And so if the low point goes into the ground, you chunk it. The low point doesn't go into the ground, you now come up over the ball and you top it. So it can be the same issue. It
was exactly the same. I just moved the ball up in my stance instead of back in my stance.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, like I said, if you want to send me your swing, I'm more than happy to look at it. I love doing that sort of thing.
Appreciate it. Next time I hit the golf course, I will let you know. FTN.com. Blickle, tell everyone where they can follow you on the Twitter machine for both golf and football, since apparently you're the 7th best player in the world as of this week.
I'll take that. At Alex Blickle 1 on Twitter. And yeah, you can find all the FTN fantasy stuff, projections, ownership, all that over on FTN. You can also check out the new Discord I started, especially if you're interested in pick'em stuff. I know you love Underdog, and I've been having so much fun over the last few years learning how to like kind of excel over on Underdog. It's been really helpful, and it's especially helpful with like balancing the swings that can come with DFS. If you're consistently making money on Underdog, it's a lot easier to handle when you have a 2-3 bad week stretch over in DFS.
That will do it for me. I'm Pat Mayo. Follow me at the PME. I'll have the newsletter with the final bets coming out a little bit later on. I want to think about it a little bit more. If you want to do your research, do your own research. That's what I'm saying to people. Ask your own questions. You can do that at betspertsgolf.com/Mayo. Use the rabbit hole as a DFS optimizer. It has projections. It has a Discord, and it has what you're used to, be it with the rabbit hole or Fantasy National, as the generic template that we've always used to store the sats. And the rabbit hole is just so much more efficient with more sats and more customizable for everything that you're looking for. So go give it a go. Rabbithole.com. Sorry, not rabbithole.com. betspertsgolf.com/Mayo. All right. Thank you all for watching. Smash the like on the way out. And I will see you next time.
Mayo experience.